Hello, time for hooded towels. So I promised a video on making a hooded towel, and we can make them for babies, kids, adults, all sizes. If you're in my group, you have access to this PDF download. All you have to do is print this out, and on the first page you'll see baby and toddler sizes, big kid sizes. And what I call a big kid is, and I wrote that in here, anything from 4 or 5 years old up to 10, 12 years old, 13 even. But after that, they're a little bit bigger, especially the boys, and then they can go into an adult size. Now, the adult size is a larger hood, but you may need to adjust the length from the top of the head to the shoulder. They may not be as tall as a full-sized adult. So you're going to have to use your best judgment on that. Take measurements. That's what I did when I started doing these. My niece had a baby, and Charlie had a big head, she said. Well, when she measured Charlie's head, it was no bigger than my kids were, but maybe my kids had a big head too, my two boys. At any rate, I'm going to make the baby toddler size, because this particular towel I'm making is for Andrew, and geez, there are just too many darn kids in the family, but I think he's about 3. So I'm going to consider him a toddler, baby toddler / toddler. So for a toddler, we want a piece that's 16 inches wide. And I'm going to show you how I measure the width and the length, because you may get confused by that. This is a hand towel. I'm going to use a hand towel and a bath towel for the body. Now with the hand towel, you pretty much can just use the hand towel. You may cut a little bit off the edges, but in general, this is a good size. Now, 2 years ago, I made all the kids in the family. I call them my nieces and nephews, but they're really my sister's kids, or they're my niece's kids. But anyway, all the kiddos in the family got hooded towels, and I use this size for all of them. None of them were older than, Olivia was the oldest, maybe 10, 9 or 10. But I did make one that was much larger, and that was for Aiden, and I made that a poncho style. Now, I'm not going to get into the poncho style for this video, just the wraparound hooded towel. And the way I'm going to show you, no stitches show on the inside, so you can use any stabilizer you like. And in this particular case, I'm just using sticky tearaway. I'm probably going to float a piece of cutaway under it, because my design is fairly dense. I digitized this for Andrew because he loves this bunny. So the bunny's got a whole bunch of stitches. Matter of fact, it has 38,000 stitches. So for a towel, that's no big deal. If it was a thin piece of cotton, I might have issues. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Using the hand towel, we're going to use the width, which is the width of the towel. So I'm going to use the full width. When it's folded in half, the fold of the towel will be the front of the hood. So it'll lay like this when you're all finished. Your design will be up here. And this is something you really want to take note of. This is your hood when you're finished. I have a 6.5-inch design digitized. I would suggest 6. I didn't want to reduce it any more than 6.5 because of the density. I just thought it wouldn't work out as well. However, when you do this towel, you're going to have a point up here. So this design will almost reach that point. So just keep that in mind when you choose your design for your towel. Try to find something that gives you about 2 inches up here. I would prefer to have a 2-inch leeway up here and the design start here, you know, with the 2-inch excess up here. That's not going to happen with this one, but that's okay. He'll love it anyway. It doesn't matter what it looks like. He's going to love this bunny. So your design, using the width of the towel, or as it says in the directions, 16 inches wide. Well, these towels are, let's see, I always forget I have a grid right in front of me. These towels are, sorry, let's do it this way, are, oh yeah, 16 and a half, a good 16 and a half. The other thing I do, I take a seam ripper and I just scoot it down the edge of this, where they've done the hem, and that's what I use for my seam allowance later, and I'll show you that part too. It takes a minute to use a seam ripper there. It really does come right out. And if you're nervous about it, start at the end where it won't be shown if you make a mistake. Once you get it started, it usually comes out pretty easily, unless you get caught in the terry cloth, which I just did. Okay, I'm not going to rip the whole thing out now, but once you rip this out, you have all this space here, and that's what you can use for your seam allowance. And that way, if you have a larger design like I do, it gives you extra room. Okay, so if you're not using a hand towel, let's say you decided to buy all bath towels, and you would like to cut several hoods out of one bath towel, you can get 2 kids and a baby size out of 2 big kids and a baby size out of a bath towel, because these are 54 by 70, is it? Let's see what it says here. I gave you sizes, a guest towel, bath towel. 55 inches long in general. I don't know what these are. I got these at Kohl's. They're the big ones. They had this humongous sale and I got them dirt cheap. So what do we have here? We got 24 and 9, 33, 66. So we have about 66 inches in length on this towel. And that's cool because you'll get even more than I thought. Now, if you're doing the kid size, you're cutting it out of a bath towel. Normally, a bath towel is about 30 inches wide. For the big kids, you need 28 inches. Now, the width of the towel is 30 inches wide. The length of the hood is 28 inches long. So you're going to cut your piece out here. This top piece, say from here to here, this will be your hood. The length, 30 inches or 28 inches, good, plus 20 inches wide. So you're going to need to go, let's see, 20 inches down. I guess that might be somewhere near here. Yeah, pretty close. So the length of your hood will be 28 inches long by, let's see, for big kids, 20 inches wide, and you'll cut it here. Now you can see I have 2 pieces, so there's 2 hoods right there, and I was a little bit more than 20 on that. So there's 2 big kids' hoods, and then you have left over 14 inches, 15 inches, which is great for a baby. So you get 2 big kids and a baby out of this. If you want to cut 2 adult sizes, you can cut 24 inches wide, which would be this way. 24 inches would be here. So you're down to here. Now you got 28 inches in length for the hood. So this is 30, gives you a little bit extra. You can cut it off, leave it on, put it on your head, see how it fits. play it by ear. So now you got 2 adults, and you have this much left over, which is 7 inches. Wow, that's almost the same. Did I give? Oh, yeah, I gave you right. Oh, 24 inches, right. And the other was 20. Okay, so you have enough left over, which would be about this much. But this, if you take this piece and then you cut more hoods for more gifts or more projects, you might have another piece the same size. Use it for the lining, and now you have another hood. Because we're going to do a self-lining on these. So there's lots of options. You can use the bath towel. You can use the hand towel in general, because you can get the sets really cheap. If you try to purchase just the large bath towels, you might pay more than if you buy a set, because they'll put the bundles on sale pretty cheap sometimes. I think I paid $10 for a bundle, which was this, the hand towel. It was less than 10 because it was Kohl's. They give you cash back and get discounts. And I also got a washcloth with this. So that was a pretty good deal for less than $10. And they're really, really nice. Real nice and heavy. Okay, so this will come later. Right now, we're going to take the towel, find the center. You can mark it with a marker. You can mark it with a pin. I got some little pins in here. So I'll just mark it with a pin. This is my center. And it's also almost my fold. Let's put it on the fold. Let's fold this neatly in half, which I didn't do. Make sure the ends meet, because it's really crucial to have your design as close to this edge as possible. I think that's it. I might have moved that. Yeah, I've got to push it down just a little bit. Okay, right here. This is my center, both lengthwise and widthwise. Okay. So, with this being my center, the seams, the open end going in the back, I'll take my design, I'm going to center my design, and when you print out the color chart that comes with the designs, if you're using mine, any designer probably does give you a color chart. There's a grid in the center that shows you the center. This is the center mark, and I really want this design to go right down here, right on that fold. So for right now, I'm just going to give it a little pin. That's where it's going to go. And that does give me enough room. I'm going to open this up. My seams are not going to take any of the terry cloth, just the selvage. Okay, so that's where my design is going to be stitched. When I'm done stitching, I'll come back and I'll show you how to do a self-lining, and it's so cool and so easy. I think I made like a dozen tails in one night. It was just, after they were stitched up, putting them together is just a breeze. You'll see. This is the first part. Set up your towel, get your design stitched out, come back for part 2, and in part 2, I'll show you how everything gets attached. Before I start stitching my design, I wanted to show you how this is going to go in the hoop. I'm using a fast frame. I'm floating my design. And I just wanted you to see, let me mark a center point on my stabilizer, because I left you with the towel folded over, and I didn't want you to think that you were going to stitch it that way. So let's do a grid on here. Well, I don't need that. What I need, you may need to do a grid both ways. All right, I'll do it. Just because you probably aren't using the same type of hoop, and I don't want you guys to get confused. So we got 12 and a half which is 6 1/4, and that will be right here. And that will be right here. I'll never understand why they give you marks for the length, the center of the length, but they don't give you marks for the sides. What's up with that? Okay, so let's give it a line both ways. And we'll have a nice center mark. Okay, so now that I got my center all done, I can lay out my towel, and I'm going to center my design right on the hoop. Now, if you're hooping it, not floating it, same thing. Put your stabilizer in the hoop, or attach this to the stabilizer, then put it in the hoop, however you like to do your embroidery. I like floating. I float on sticky. I have no issues. I do not need wash away here, because when we're finished, we're going to stitch this design. We're going to close it all up, and all of these edges will be seamed. And what you're going to see is nothing but a clean towel. No seams. You won't see seams, and you won't see stitches. So make sure you open up the towel and hoop it wherever the center is. Somewhere in here. I'm going to play with that and get my center just right. Then I'm going to stitch it. I just wanted to make sure I didn't mislead you, because I had my towel folded in half, and I thought, oh no, suppose they think they have to stitch it that way. No, you're stitching through one thickness of toweling. Okay, now I'll be back with part 2. Okay,